Good Monday morning, everyone. This is Christine Peckstein with Move Into Action and your Kicking Butts show. This morning, since we are fired back up and back on air, we took a break for a couple of months and we've decided to come back with a new lineup and a different platform. We're hosting at a different place, so you'll have to bear with me while I'm learning all of the different functions and features, but I think we're doing okay. So we're going to go ahead and continue on with this brand new segment. Today's episode is Finding Better Halves. And what I mean by that, we're talking about the life area of finances this month. It's a huge life area. It is an area that we need to manage well when we talk about it from a perspective of life management and also from stress management, because our finances affects us in so many different ways. It's not just one person in our homes that is affected by our finances. It is everyone, because when one person is stressed out or things become mismanaged, we know that it drastically affects others and has a huge impact on the entire household. So this month, our focus is finances. Today's episode is Finding Better Halves. Well, what do I mean by that? Finding better halves. When we're talking about our finances, we're talking about things that we have to do each month with our money. And there are three things. When I look at it and I coach individuals from a life management perspective, there are three different areas that we take a look at with the halves we have to do. Finding the better halves, we're going to pay bills. The must-haves, the things that we do monthly that have to be done. We pay bills. It's necessary. We buy food. Food is necessary. We have to have shelter. These are all of the basic things that we need every month on a day-to-day basis. How about transportation? Clothing. We have to get dressed. We've got to have transportation because we got to go to work. We got to get the kids to school. We've got to have something to wear as we leave our homes. We need to have savings. That is a must-have. How about retirement? That is a must-have. And then we've got health. And the reason I put health down here as a separate must-have is because when we're talking about our finances, if you are like me, you know there are certain individuals within your household, whether it's you or somebody else, that has health care needs and expenses. You've got to have a cash flow or a way, insurance, whatever it is, you've got to have a way to make sure that they have access to it, that they can get whatever it is that they need. And that is a provision that is absolutely necessary. So when we look at the basic things that we need in our homes, these are the basics, the must-haves that we have got to have. And so we have to find a way to make our finances work to provide all of those things. If we come up short or if we're struggling, we know, you know, I know, as a single mom, I can tell you, there have been times when it becomes very stressful because you sit there and you look at what you have and you look at what the need is and it doesn't match. And so you scramble sometimes to figure it out. What am I going to take this month in order to make that happen? Where can I rearrange things? And we continue on in that manner. So that is that stress piece that comes in as we look at just the basics that can affect our lives, whether it be through life management because we're trying to make it all work and we're trying to make sense out of it the best we can, or it comes in as a stress management. It's not working, or all of a sudden, you know, your air conditioner just blew up, or you blew a radiator on your car, or you've got a flat tire, something that simple. You have a kid that has now gotten sick and you weren't anticipating it. It kind of throws a monkey wrench into the mix and it messes everything up. And sometimes you can't do anything about it, but that's not what this is about. This is about finding the better halves. So we know that we have the basics that we have to allot for every month in the best way possible. It helps if we have a budget, if we know what our income is, we know what our expenses are, and we try to work around that and stick to it as closely as we can. But there's something else. When we look at the basics, those are the things that we need just to get by. But what if you're just getting started? A lot of times in life, when we start, you know this, go back to being a college kid, to first getting married. things like that. You know, when you first got started, a lot of times you had hand-me-downs. You started with just the basics, and sometimes you didn't even have everything that you've needed. If you have children or you're a parent, if you're a single mom, especially, I can tell you, you know this, because a lot of times you do get the hand-me-downs and you are just living with the extreme, the bare bones basics, and you're trying to get by with those. Say you even have, after you've been living for a while and you've acquired some things and you still have just the basics, you've got, say, it's just a point A to B car. Does anybody drive one of those? I have one of those. Now, when I'm faced with the decision of, do I want to buy another vehicle? I really don't want another car payment. It's not that important to me to have a newer car. So for me, I choose to keep the one I have. I'm okay with that. So yes, I have a point A, B car. I'm not starting out, but I've chosen to remain in an AB car because it's just something that's not that important to me to upgrade, to get something new, to have another payment. Now, we also know that when you're just starting out, there are the times, or even not just starting out, say that you're just going through a rough time. Finances are tight. Things are tough. Maybe there's been a layoff or something that's affected you, and all of a sudden times are tight. You got to go back to what you were eating in the college days. How about this? The ramen days. Everybody was eating ramen, or you eat macaroni and cheese. I mean, that's it. It's a cheap noodle diet because that's all you've got the provision for. So you're talking sometimes in life, even just eating the basics. And you think, oh my goodness, if I have rice one more time, or if I have to eat that one more time, if I have soup one more day, I'm going to go crazy because I don't want that. I can't handle it. But those are the times in life when we have to have just the minimum requirements to get by. How about this? We have to start somewhere. So if you don't have savings established or anything like that, if you don't have a retirement established, it's not too late, because we all have to start somewhere. And sometimes we start right after high school, right after college. We have the luxury of starting them. Sometimes we go through life. Now, I'm going to tell you, if you're a single parent, you understand this. Your first priority is to raise your children. And so sometimes you start on these things later in life because your priority at that point in time was to raise your kids. But now things are changing. And so now you can go back and you can change because now your priorities are shifting. You've raised your children. They're old enough to take care of themselves. Now they're going to be going out and establishing their own lives. They're going to be starting with the basics. And maybe you're handing off some of your things to them, saying, hey, here's some hand-me-downs. Take them, go make much with them. And so you're giving them that. But now you're at a point in time where maybe you have to catch up on some things. You got to catch up on savings. You got to catch up on your retirement. You got to catch up on, maybe your washer and dryer's on its last leg because you just for the last 18 years raised, 2, 3, 4, 5 kids. Those suckers are beat up. There's a lot of dirt in them. In fact, you know what? I don't even want to think about all the muck from raising a family that some of that stuff has in it. Maybe your car has still got Happy Meal French fries stuffed down in a cushion somewhere from all of those years. And maybe it is your point in time in life where you get to change your priorities because your priorities have shifted. Responsibilities have shifted. And now you can change and you can make some of these things priorities of where you're at right now, and you can start living for those. So things are changing. But there is a time to get established. And again, as I said, some are going to get established right away. They have the luxury of doing that. And some are going to get established later in life. If you are one that is establishing and gaining control over your finances later in life, there is nothing wrong with that. In fact, I applaud you because it's a huge step. If you put that much time and energy into raising your family and doing what was necessary and making every single one of those sacrifices, I am clapping because that is a huge deal. And God bless you for sticking it out and for doing the right thing and for being there for your children. But now you can start over. So you may be older, but you're just now starting out in a way because things are shifting. So you're going to be starting your retirement. You're going to be starting your savings just as a college student might be. Depends on what your life looked like. And only you know that. Okay, so now let's look at another side of this, finding better haves. We know that we have the basics: food, shelter, transportation, clothing, savings, retirement, and our health. But then there's something else that we have, finding better haves. The basics are great, but at certain times in our life, upgrades are really good things, and they can even be life-giving essentials. And what I mean by that, you're probably scratching your head going, how is an upgrade a life-saving essential? If it saves you time, if upgrading to something a little newer and better saves you time, if it saves you money, if it saves your resources, if it saves your energy and your sanity most of all, then it's worth it. There is nothing wrong with upgrading. And I believe no matter where you are, whether you're just starting out or whether you've been living all this time and now your priorities are shifting and you're playing catch up because your responsibilities have shifted or ended or whatever it is, I think that finding better haves is essential. You need to upgrade at some point in time, because upgrading to newer equipment, upgrading to maybe a better vehicle, upgrading to that different washer and dryer, things like that, when you can do it, when you can work it into your budget, they save you money. And here's why. Because it helps you get organized, especially if you're talking about home organization and you are investing in some of those home organizers. Now, you say, well, I don't have it in my budget to go out and get one of those, but you can do it one or two organizers at a time. Take on one thing every month. If it's a certain closet or a certain room or something in your home that you're trying to reorganize, just get one thing and do that one thing. If all you can do is squeeze one extra thing in your budget, then do it and do that every month. So then it becomes a consistent organizational pattern in your home that helps you manage everything, that helps you lessen the stress, that helps you find things when you need them. Because when you lose things, it's expensive. Think about it. Have you ever lost food in your refrigerator? I have. And you find it weeks later and you say, wow, I knew I bought that, but I couldn't figure out what happened to it. It was shoved in the back of the refrigerator. Maybe you're buying too much, or maybe you just didn't see it because there was too much clutter. So if you had a way of establishing an organization system for your home that would help you, you would be saving money because you wouldn't be losing the things. So you're not losing food. You're not losing shoe. Did you ever have a kid or yourself that lost a shoe? Shoes aren't cheap. And neither is your sanity, because when you're ready to run out the door and you have a deadline to keep, or you've got a job to get to, you got to get kids to school, lost shoes cost time, energy, they stress you out, and it is not worth it. So if it's just taking and organizing your kids' shoes, if it's organizing keys, buying a hook, $3, I have one, a hook that goes by your front door, because I am notorious for setting my keys down and I can't find them. And so I'll have to text people, I'm on my way, but I'm looking for my keys. And so they laugh, but it's very stressful and it's unnecessary. So the solution for me was one month I went and I bought hooks and I put them at the front door and put one at the back door. And so now when I walk in, keys go there, I know where they're at. That is one of those upgrades. It's not an essential, but it's something extra that I'm going to work into my budget, and it could be a little bit at a time. It doesn't have to cost a whole lot. But they make your life easier. They help you become organized. They may be upgrades. Say you're upgrading to a car. If you upgrade your vehicle because you're driving something that is 35 or 40 miles a gallon and it's sucking gas faster than what you can afford to put it in there, if you upgrade your vehicle and you get a car that is 65 miles to the gallon, you're saving money. You're saving time, you're saving money because you have to stop and fill up less. That's time. You're not spending as much money because you don't have to stop as often. That's a really good thing because fuel is expensive. Maybe it has more safety features, and so now you're saving money on your insurance. Those are the things that you need to weigh. It may not be necessary, but it might save you money in the long run because it's time, energy, and resources if you can upgrade. That's like the washer and dryer. Before I upgraded to the front end loaders, I had this big washer and it was the tub and it would fill with I don't know how many gallons of water, and we just stand there and it's like, I wonder how much each load is costing me just in water alone. It's expensive, plus it was wasteful. And so one year we worked it into my budget where I invested in the front end loader, washer, and dryer. And it was worth it. Now my water bill is about a third of what it was. The time it takes to wash and even dry, because it extracts so much of that water out, it takes less time to dry. It was worth it because it was one of those upgrades that helped me by saving me money. It also saves resources, even natural resources, which is a good thing. So we were saving money, we're saving energy, we're saving resources, but also it was saving me my sanity, because I went from having about 10 to 12 loads of laundry a week to having 4. I mean, this washer is big. If I wanted to, I could climb inside of it. That is awesome. So all of those things were going in together. That saved time. It saved my energy personally as a working mom, and I loved it. So that was one of those things. It wasn't a must-have. It wasn't that basic that I had to have, because I had one of those before, either in a gas-guzzling car or had it in that washer that took so much water and time and energy to run. But by saving and working those into my budget and saying, this year, this is my one big purchase. This month, these are some of the little things that I'm going to work into my budget so that I can organize our belongings. We can find food when we need to. We can not lose our shoes. We can find the keys easily. How about clothing? You know, the kids lose the coats or something and they say, well, I know I had my jacket, but I set it down and now it's gone. Those hooks and things like that are so worth it. How about books? Because I know this. I've had children misplace library books. And then they come to me and say, Mom, I need you to write a check for $50 because I lost my library book. I can't find it. And I look at them and say, no, I refuse to write a check for that. You're going to go clean your room. You're going to find it. If you don't find it, you better sit down and rewrite it. Or you're going to have to earn that money. You better send out an email to the family that says, I need odd jobs to do because I lost my library book and Mom's not going to pay for it. Nope, I'm not going to pay for it. You need to get organized. And this is an important lesson that we need to teach our children too. So when we look at our finances, clutter is costly. This is what I want to leave you with today. Clutter is so costly. We have the basic things that we need. But if we have too many things, if we start hoarding because we think, oh, I'm not going to be able to replace that in the future, I'm not going to have the money for that in the future, I better hold on to it, we end up with so much stuff, 3/4 of it that we don't even need, probably that we don't even use. We just see it sitting there and it just collects. It costs us time because we have to sort through the stuff in order to find the things that we do use. It costs us money, because we're spending money we don't need to. How many pairs of jeans does one person need? How many sweaters? How many coats? How many purses does a person need? And just think about things that you have in your home. How many of those items do you truly need? Do you have, say, take your wardrobe, for example. Do you have a core wardrobe? If you do, then you will have an abundance of closet and dresser space left over. Go online. I challenge you to look for a core wardrobe. So clutter is extremely costly because it wastes time. We have to look, we have to search, we got to clean, we got to maintain it. We don't need that. Then there's the other better halves. And those are the things that we would like to have, but they're just out there. They're not necessary at all. We could never have them and we could be fine our entire lives. They're the things that we dream of. Those are the fun things. From a life management and a stress management perspective, if you can afford it, if you can work it out, I recommend 1 or 2 of those a year. Something fun that you normally wouldn't get for yourself, even if everybody's scrambling around and saying, hey, it's your birthday, what do you want? Let them know. Put one of those once in a lifetime, or just the little, I'd like to have that, but it's something I'll never buy for myself because it's just not a necessity. I think that those are good for us from a life and stress management perspective. They're those unnecessary indulgences, but they're the little things that we really find valuable because they mean so much to us as individuals. Maybe one or two a year. And when you are gift giving, I challenge you to do this. The person that you are buying a gift for, I challenge you to look and buy them one of those simple, it doesn't have to be expensive. Look for a simple indulgence that you know that person would love, but they just won't spend the money on themselves to do it because it pulls from the basics they have to have. You've got to pay the bills. You got to have that stuff. Or the haves you upgrade because it does make life better. It makes it easier on us. It saves us time, money, and resources. But those unnecessary things, the things that are really not going to make a difference, I challenge you to find out what that is. When you really know somebody and they see you give them one of these, they will know how much you care. You will be their hero. So once you have the basics, the upgrades, then you can focus on something extra. If you want to take that vacation to Hawaii and you got all the other stuff done, go ahead, knock yourself out. So here's what I want to leave you with. I want you to ask yourself these questions. These are your coaching questions. Now, we will go over these live at the end of the month when we do our Think Drink, and it is based on all the episodes in this finance series that we are covering this month of April. And you will have a live Q&A with me. You will get a separate video with that. That is the Think Drink. That is that maintenance that I have on my website at moveintoaction.com. At the end of the month, if you're a member, you will have access to that. So I recommend that you go over and that you get signed up for that because that is something exclusive that you can participate in, and you will have direct access to me in the community room online, plus that video, and you don't want to miss that. So question number 1, I want you to think about this. Do you have your basic necessities? Do you know what they are, and how are you doing with those? Do you have everything that you need? Because you need to look at that. You need to know what your budget is and what your expenses are. And you need to determine, do I have just the basics to get by? Because it does matter to your life management. The second thing I want you to look at is how much of your stuff is clutter. I want you to look at this from a stress management perspective. How much of that stuff in your home, in your trunk, the trunk of your car, in those closets that you have, in your junk drawer, in your silverware drawer, in the basement, in the garage, how much of that stuff, even in the toy boxes, is clutter? And how much does that clutter cost you in your sanity, in your time, in your resources? What is the true cost of having all that stuff, those shoes, the clothes, I might use this someday? I want you to think about the true cost to that. And I want you to think about what it could mean to you by cleaning that stuff out and getting rid of it to free up that space. How much will that free space and that free time and that positive energy contribute to your life? I'll bet you find that that is truly priceless. The third thing, I want you to think of the impacts. And that would be what I just covered, the time and the energy that you could reclaim. How will cleaning out that clutter, how will that positively impact your life? So you might in a year decide, oh, I wish I would have kept that sweater. Or in a year, you're probably not even going to remember that you got rid of it. In a year, it's probably not even going to be in style. In a year, it probably would have had spaghetti sauce. Okay, I'm talking about me here. In a year, it probably would have had spaghetti sauce or salsa spilt on it and would be thrown in the trash anyways because it was ruined. So if you clean that out and decide in a year, 2 years, oh, I wish I would have kept that. How much of a loss, a significant loss, is that really to your life? And I want you to think about those impacts as you go through that stuff. So number 1, do you have your basic necessities? If not, I want you to make a list of the things that you still need. I want you to figure out where you can access them, if you can borrow them, if you can buy it used, because it's going to help you. 2, how much of your stuff is clutter? Go through it. I want you to write it down. How much of that stuff is clutter? And 3, the impacts. to your time, your energy, and your resources? Are you really going to miss it? What's the worst case scenario if you got rid of that stuff and cleaned it out? Those are the things that I want you to think about. Now remember, as I said, if you go to moveintoaction.com, you can sign up for the maintenance coaching that takes place every month, and you will receive a video on these very topics. Now, there are going to be 3 more segments this month that I do on this podcast. So there's going to be much more that you'll get in that. It's going to be personalized coaching taken from the questions and answers that I receive from you. And I will go through those with the tips and the tricks and everything that you will need to get those questions answered so that you can manage your life, you can lessen your stress, and you can kick all the butts, those excuses that stand in your way, so that you can move them out, you can overcome your obstacles, you can prioritize your life and live for the most precious things that you want to be living for without wasting your time, your energy, and resources on the unnecessary things. And we're going to do this monthly in 9 different life areas. So I want to leave you with that. Go to moveintoaction.com and get signed up. If not, listen to this podcast again. Take notes, use what you can, and pass it on. You guys have a great week. I'm Christine Peckstein, and I will see you right here next Monday.